Hi, it's Brad Hyland, voiceover actor and coach and mentor, and you're listening to another VO podcast. And by the way, I'm the voice of Santa Claus for Elf on the Shelf. Ho, ho, ho! Why does that matter? Stick around.
Hey, welcome back to another VO podcast. Guys, we've been doing this for over a year. I think
that's crazy.
When we had our year episode, I don't even think we mentioned it. I could be wrong.
It just kind of slid
it
by
just
there.
happened, yeah. But we've been doing this for over a year. I think, and I'd have to go look, but I think our first episode came out on May 26th, 2023. We are on, it is now for us today, May 30th. And yeah, so we're like
Holy
4 days
smokes.
past the day. Yeah, that's wild. Like, we didn't have Charles back then, which I'm glad we do now. I know. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dark days.
So this isn't my year anniversary. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah. We'll see you a couple. Yeah. Bye, Charles. No, anyway. But that's just crazy that we've had a podcast. And you know what my girlfriend said to me when we first started? She's like, I can't believe you had a podcast. And every time she said that, I'd be like, yeah, but I mean, it's niche. And I'm just talking to other voice actors and stuff like that. She's like, but still. She's always like trying to get me excited about things. And unfortunately, a lot of times if I'm not particularly like, yeah, like she's like, why do you always do that? And don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed being on the podcast with you guys. But it's like, I think because it's nothing, for me anyway, at the time when it was like, well, I'm not really like, I don't know who all was listening, but seeing the numbers and seeing our numbers grow month over month, that's just really cool. So now I am kind of like, yeah, I got a podcast, you know, with these guys.
Yep.
Oh, man. So, yeah. By the way, great episode last week, guys. That was cool.
Thanks.
I know that Charles and I were kind of MIA. I was out in West Palm for some work stuff, and I think Charles was probably just busy booking stuff like always. Isn't that right, Chuck?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, so I'm glad that we can do this right now. Now, I do want to talk. Oh, okay, good deal. I see a note here from one of our producers that May 14th was our first episode. So we're 2 weeks outside of that pretty much. So yeah. But I do want to talk to Alden real quick, because Alden, you got some news that you wanted to share too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, you had just a month ago or so, or a little bit longer for you, starting another job to kind of support and help you keep the motivation going in your voiceover career.
Right.
I did a similar thing. I just recently got hired to be on staff at the church that we go to. My pre-VO career was working in the church. So for 27 years, I was doing church ministry, mostly from the worship leader perspective, leading our worship bands and choirs and any other music stuff that was happening in the church.
That's cool.
And so this is not music. This is actually discipleship. But it's part-time, and they want to be very clear to me that this is flexible. I will be having some office hours just to be available to anybody, but it'll be flexible, and I can keep my full-time business going, which was important to me.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so I'm excited about that. And, as happened with you, you get a job and then you have a giant expense. So if anybody else out there is trying to supplement their voiceover career and you get a little side hustle going on next to that, you will need to replace your air conditioning unit.
Yes, that is correct.
That is 100%. Our data set proves
100%.
Yeah.
And the
Wasn't it the same day that we were having issues?
Yeah, it was like the same day.
Or if
day.
not, it was within 24 hours.
Of course, yeah. So yeah, as Alden said, my air conditioner crapped out. I will say that the air conditioner that came with my house when I bought it 3 years ago was the original unit.
That's nuts.
From 2002. So it
Don't
was
make them like I used to.
exactly. I was on borrowed time already. Like I was like, because they were like, this thing. We're surprised this thing made it as long as it did. So I was like, okay.
Mine was a different story. Mine was only because I remember saying to you in the chat,
Yes.
when we were going back and forth, I said, yeah, I'm not going to have to replace my whole air conditioner. Mine's only a 2017. It's not that old. Turns out my whole compressor blew. And because I'm the new homeowner, I was not the homeowner that bought that unit.
Right.
The 10-year warranty does not transfer to me. So it was only like a 5-year mechanical warranty, which would have been up in 2022, which we owned the house at that time, but didn't know that this was happening.
Now, let me ask you, if you would have gotten a home warranty when you did move in, would that would probably have covered it, right?
If I still had it, a lot of times you only cover that, they have that home buyer's warranty for like a year,
right?
Just so there's no surprises your first year owning it. And we've been in here 4 years now, so
so that's long.
So it's
So just remember though, sometimes those warranties have conditions. Like my warranty, I have a 10-year warranty on mine, but I have to every year do a checkup or whatever, and it costs like $100.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't do that, then 6 years down the line, your compressor blows out and you got to get a whole new air conditioner in, and you're like, I got a warranty those 10 years. And they're like, well, you didn't keep up the maintenance on it, or we don't have proof of that maintenance.
Yeah.
So,
well, for me,
out of warranty.
So I replaced the whole unit. I could have replaced just the compressor, which would have been still a lot of money and only a 1-year warranty on only the compressor.
Wow.
Or replace the whole outdoor unit for basically twice the cost, but I get a 10-year warranty on all of it.
Yeah.
So Charles, that's a good tip. I will make sure that if that's
a caveat,
the language of the warranty that I'm sticking with my AC guide saying, hey, come check it out.
You know what? That actually is this is going to lead into what I wanted to talk about today. And honestly, if that is the case, Alden, the people that came out to service to replace the unit, if that is the case, they should have communicated that to you.
You think
what I mean? Oh, 100%. Like because the same thing with me, like I have a 10-year warranty on mine, but they said nothing about, they did say that they offer plans, I think $20 a month to come out and they service it like I think twice a year or something like that. And I do intend to do that probably after this first year, just because it is a new unit, but it does come with a 10-year warranty and stuff like that. But again, if there's that caveat that in order to get that 10-year warranty or for them to honor that, you have to get that service plan. That should definitely be communicated to you. And that's just really that. And that should be practiced when you're doing customer service, because that's good customer service.
Yes.
Being really communicative and laying it all out there for you. And how this rolls into what I want to talk about today is that we have Charles with us. And I know we've kind of talked about it before, but I really kind of wanted to pick his brain a little bit today, because Charles, while he is a great voice actor, he is also an extremely he's extremely good at talking to people in general, whether you meet him in person, whether he's writing an email or he hops on a Zoom with you or something like that. Charles is really good at this stuff. And I'm not sure if it's kind of come from his experience prior to voiceover, and he can get into that more. But Charles, like reading some of your emails, because you'll show us screenshots like this is, you've told us about situations you've been in with clients, whether or not they were going to pay what you were asking for based on the rates and everything like that. But the way you communicate with them always seems to, what we jokingly say, schmooze them over, because you're not schmoozing as in like trying to like trick them, but for some reason I feel like when people read your words, they just feel more confident about working with you and make them in turn want to work with you more. So tell us a little bit about that. Like when you're talking to a client, what are some key things you always want to include? And I'm not necessarily talking about details, but like what do you want to say what do you feel that you say to them makes them want to keep using you and trust you and just kind of like decide to kind of agree to your terms?
Gotcha. I think what you said, the one word you just said was the key, and it's confidence for them, right? They have confidence in me.
Right.
They have a connection with me. They feel like, okay, this is a person I want to work with.
Yeah.
Right. And in a business sense, what are those things that show that to the client? I think it's friendliness, organization, right? Being organized in your emails or when you send them, questions or something like that. Showing that you're prepared. And that, because when you show that you're prepared, and when I say show that you're prepared, like in the questions that you ask, right? Because then that gives them the confidence, like, oh, okay, like this dude's got his stuff together. He's a professional.
Yeah.
I feel confident in working with him. I feel like, okay, some of those things in the background, because I'm sure they've worked with people before that they're kind of flaky. They don't really communicate well. They don't communicate on time, promptly. And then also just being friendly. And because then that's also going to be like, oh, okay, well, this is a pretty nice guy. Oh, and he's organized. Oh, and he asked some pretty good questions. And I don't have any other questions before we start our session. So, this is great. now I could just focus on my other work instead of like, man, is this voice actor going to be there? Or like, oh, I kind of got a little, crotchety vibe from him. Like he's like, oh, like I'm awesome and I'm the voice actor and they're demanding these things. They don't get those feelings.
Right.
So just you were talking about, I like to send screenshots to us and, when we discuss and, hey, this is how we dealt with this or that. I pulled that one up that I sent yesterday. And so I wrote back to her. She had wrote me some questions and I wrote back to her and I'm just going to read it pretty much word for word. Hi, Karen, and nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Rebecca and Matt. Or Rebecca and Mike.
So you address everyone, acknowledge everyone.
Well, because in her initial email, she said, I'm going on vacation, so please make sure you correspond with future correspondences with Rebecca. And let's see, with Rebecca. And then the audio engineer is Mike. So I was like, okay, so now, she has taken the effort to say she's on vacation. So I need to remember that. She's going on vacation. Right? So it's like, okay, cool. This might be a fun time for her. So I wrote back, hey, nice to meet you, Rebecca and Mike. And she had said the clients, might want to join. So my answer was, clients on the line are always welcome. And then I put, okay, I'll make sure to send all correspondence to Rebecca. Okay, here, I'm going to stop before I do that. My answers to her were in bullet points. Right. Because I could tell she's just no nonsense. Like, here's the facts. Here's my questions. And that's the way she sent it to me. So that's how I responded back to her.
Right.
Right. And that's one thing to keep in mind. And that's just actually from teaching leadership classes and learning about personalities. If they write you a big flowery email, respond back in a flowery way. Like,
right.
If they send you an email with bullet points with answers and questions, respect that and understand that and see it and send it back to them in bullet point, just like they like.
Kind of like piggyback off of it.
Yeah. And when somebody gets that, they're like, okay, they get it. Right.
Because, or at least they get me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Again,
and
you're vibing.
They speak my language.
Right.
Exactly.
You're solving their problems, and that's what they want. They want everything solved.
And they want it solved in a way that they can understand it, because obviously, so you're adapting to how they are talking to you, communicating with you.
Yeah. And then so I put, okay, I'll make sure to send all correspondence to Rebecca. And then she asked, can you please block out 2 hours for our session? And my answer was 2 hours of time have been blocked with a little okay sign. And she said, our Source Connect ID is this. Can you please give us your Source Connect ID? And the thing is, my Source Connect ID is Charles the Voice. And then she said, hey, whenever Rebecca gets stuff, she'll send you scripts and any other information as it comes in. So my answer was, I'll keep an eye out for any updates with a thumbs up. And then I put, Karen, have a super fun and safe vacay, right? With a little smiley face and a little umbrella drink. Yeah. And I put my cell as this if anyone needs to contact me quickly or directly.
Sure.
Right?
Smart.
And so saying that is, showing that, hey, we got all the bases covered. You don't have to search through, send an email. Maybe you can't get to me. So now all this worry is gone from them. So she wrote back and she just had my questions and then she put her answers in red bold.
Yeah.
Right? So like we're jiving on the same kind of communication. And I said, what time will the callback be set up in? I'm CST in Fort Worth, Texas. She put 1 p.m. Eastern for now, right? As of now.
Sure.
And I was like, Rebecca or Mike, if you receive any music tracks or B-roll, if you're allowed, I would love to take a look and listen so that I can pick up on tone, pace, and emotion.
Sure.
And I wrote that question because that also is a question for me. And it also shows them that, okay, this guy is like understanding. He's gonna deliver
listening.
Something good.
Yeah.
And she put, we're recording ahead of picture being started. We are only doing the VO edit. Music will be added by editor at a later date. And then I put something to Mike. I was like, Mike, if we can set up a quick Source Connect session, 5 minutes, just to check our connections and smooth out any sound issues, maybe 30 minutes before the session, would that be okay with you? In my mind, of course it's going to be okay with them, right? But maybe it won't. But if they're professional at this level, they're going to be like, yeah, of course, no problem. And I put there, I always like to be safe than sorry. Right. And then her answer was, we can surely do that.
Sure.
And then I put, Karen, do you still want me to keep you CC'd even though you're on vacay? Right. And that shows that I understand their situation and dynamics that's going on in their situation in their office. And hey, vacations are vacations, man. So I want to know if it's okay. Do you want me to CC you, or hey, you're on vacay, peace out, Rebecca's got everything.
Also, I will say that line right there, you inserted yourself onto their team.
Can you repeat that? I think I missed it. I was like kind of like listening to what you were saying. But
yeah, I think that line right there is you just became a part of their team.
I'm sorry, I meant the line. What did he say?
I put Karen, do you still want me to keep you CC'd even though you're on vacay?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, that is.
It's like he's in the office and she's, leaving.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're.
I just get that vibe, right?
100%. Agree.
And I think also saying that shows that I respect her position.
Yeah.
Right. Also, it's like, hey, you're the manager, you're the boss, the managing producer of all these guys, and I want to give that respect to you just to ask you, would you like to be CC'd? Instead of like, okay, bye. Okay, now I'm just going to deal with these people over here.
Yeah.
And she put, yes, please. And then I put, Karen, for the invoice, can I please have who needs to be on the email and any other info that you need on the invoice? Are you pay upon receipt, net 30, net 60, etc.? And I think that right there is a fear for a lot of voice actors to ask that question. And I didn't really, I kind of wanted to tiptoe around when am I going to get paid?
Right. Because obviously here's the thing. We are doing this for money. It's not like we're jumping on it, but for some reason, it seems to be some kind of taboo to it gives the appearance of taboo to talk about payment. But at the end of the day, you are going to get paid, and at least you should be getting paid. So if you have questions about that, be encouraged to ask them. And I'm talking to the listeners, obviously, because you're pretty good at this.
Yeah. And I think that also shows that I'm a professional voice actor. This is a business, right? And they're hiring me. And and because I go at it with that mindset, I don't go at it now anymore with the mindset of, oh man, like I'm going to ask him like, hey, when am I going to get paid? Because when I say it like that, that's how I feel I'm saying it.
Right.
Right. But you step up with one foot and with confidence, understanding that this is a business transaction. It's okay to ask when the payment, we do. Right.
It is. And another thing on that, Charles, that I think is important is, and it depends on what system you use. If we don't put that in there, and it is thinking it's due on receipt or whatever, some of these will automatically send those hasty little reminders in 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. If it's net 30, it's not going to do anything for 30 days.
Right.
It's not going to worry about it. I'm not getting a reminder or anything. And sometimes I kind of include that in my conversation with them as, hey, I want to set you up properly in my system. I don't want it sending you a bunch of emails and reminders you don't need.
Good.
That's good. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So you throw that in there and then they go, well, we typically pay on a 30-day turn or a 45-day turn.
And that's all you need is just so you can note it on your side.
And then you're not stressing out for freaking 30 or 45 days going, why aren't they paying me? Why aren't they
100%.
paying me?
100%.
So, yeah.
And Charles is actually the one that told me how he does this, because I've always kind of been like, oh, I don't want to ask about like when I'm getting paid and stuff like that. So if it's not specified and Charles hasn't had the opportunity to ask if they're net 30, when I send an invoice, I always I have to send it from PayPal in order for it to be active, but I will send them a hard copy too in an email and say, hey, I know you probably just got an invoice from me from PayPal. Here's the hard copy if you need that. And I just want to let you know the invoice right now is due upon receipt, but if you are net 30 or if you plan on paying at a later date, just let me know so I can notate on my side. You know what I mean? Or I say, that's totally fine. Just let me know so I can just make a note of it on my side. That way I'm not bugging them, you know? So that's a very good point, Troy. And yeah, I mean, again,
this
for
is
those
why
listening.
Some people still send these. All three of these just came the other day. 2 of these I was very unsure of. I didn't know.
For our listeners, Troy is holding up checks.
Will, this may be one
He's
of our
fanning
video
himself
teases.
right now.
Yeah, he is. He's on a beach right now, fanning himself with checks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Making it
but
rain.
if you know ahead of time, I had one of these. I was not really stressing too bad over. I have a fourth one that I am really stressing over because these folks will not communicate with me no matter how nice and how hard I'm trying, and they won't. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so for that last question, she said, "Hey, we are net 30. Can you can send the invoice to Rebecca. Please send a W-9 with your invoice." And then my last question was, if you need a W-9, I can send it over when requested. She goes, yes, with your invoice. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, with an exclamation point. And so with that communication, I have shown them who I am, shown them that I'm a professional, shown them that I care about them. They can see that and now they can have a feeling of, okay, like I feel comfortable and I feel like this voice actor, because they already hired me for my voice, right? They already hired me for my read. So now they know
they're going to hire you for your
So now
intellect.
The second half, the other part after hiring somebody is now okay with them. Right? It's not going to be some mystery or some big debacle or like, oh God, like the voice was great, but this dude's horrible to work with, right? Didn't show up on time, all this stuff. Doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. Keeps emailing us, 5 times in the last 10 days. Hey, when am I going to get paid? Like, you know what I'm saying? So now, and I think you just need to first keep a mindset that this is a business and you're a professional, and secondly, just be kind. Like if there's any clues
Talk
in
to them
there,
how you'd want to be talked to.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like you were just getting into, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, kind of like, make sure you read that email and adapt to kind of their style of communication. If they're no nonsense straightforward, keep it no nonsense straightforward.
I like
if they're
that
having
a lot.
If they're having a little bit of fun with you while they're talking to you, shoot it right back. I mean, like
100%.
It's always hard to read tone in text messages and emails. You know what I mean? Like, there's been times when I've read messages from people and I'm like, are these people mad? But then like I ask them like, hey, are we good? Like, yeah, dude, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh man, I just reread what I said. Totally didn't mean it the way it came across or whatever. And I've done that too. You know what I mean? Like in text messages, my girlfriend says I come across kind of cold, and I guess I can in a sense, but I'm really not that cold of a person. I'm just, a lot of times I just like, I'll give you an answer like, yep,
you're
or whatever,
in a hurry.
so nothing to,
hurry.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
so what
one
I'm
prime
hearing is we shouldn't just respond to an email with K.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a little more
it's
intentional
really
than that.
it's really how you interpret a message, right? Because one that happens a lot is when we say, let's say the sentence is, hey, meet me down at the mailboxes, right? Is it, hey, meet me down by the mailboxes? Or is it, hey, meet me down by the mailboxes, right? Is it a, hey, like you're pointing a finger?
You're in trouble.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's really how you interpret that email, right?
Yeah.
So just, so read the whole thing, understand everything that's in there, pick up on any clues or inferences of, vacation, quote unquote, for this one, that she's going to be gone. So think of her as, okay, she's going to be gone. My team's going to be running this. So as a manager, you're going to have a little bit of worry. You're going to have a little bit of like, oh, this big project, this huge project for this job is going to be handled by my team. I have confidence in my team, but now I'm going on vacation and I don't want to think about it. So think about it from their shoes. How are you going to make them feel comfortable and at ease? Like, okay, this is going to go great. Just keep me CC'd. Like, you guys will handle it.
Yeah.
I feel okay now.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
I like the way you're applying the
she's-
personality wheel.
Yeah.
And you guys, and I know Jake, you've probably done this too, where you had to take these tests and you'd go through these things and they'd say you're a high D or you're a low A or you're this or that. And if you've been through those trainings, you can do that like Charles is saying in these emails and read into that. And this ties back to stuff we've talked about on here a lot. Being a voice actor is not just about recording stuff. And
Right.
This is your biggest smack upside the head, that because of the way Charles is doing this stuff, it is causing him to get a lot of repeat business. A lot of people
Big
having
time.
the keyword confidence in what he can do, not
He's
just behind the
knowledgeable
mic.
too. Which also makes them feel comfortable, because when Charles asks those right questions, like he was talking about, what they're getting from him asking those questions is that this guy knows what he's doing, and it makes them feel better. And sometimes he probably asks questions that they go, you know what, I didn't even think about that, but the fact that this guy's asking me that question, man, let's just keep using this dude, because he's great at what he does and we can trust him. We don't have to worry about it. And that's the thing. Auditions come all the time throughout the day, but I guarantee you the people that are behind those auditions would much rather just have someone in their back pocket. Like, you know who can do this? Charles can do this. So I'm not even going to put this audition out there. And they want to get it done, you know?
Even sometimes put yourself on the other side. And I did this last week. I'm glad we're talking about this. This is pretty neat. I have a client that orders all during the week. And I have always just, right after I sent the thing, I sent him a PayPal invoice. That's what we've always done. Well, he had gone on vacation, and then when he came back, he paid them, there was like 7, and he paid them 7 separate payments. So I thought, you know what? What if I just invoiced you on Mondays for the previous week? Would that be easier for you? And he's like, oh my gosh, that would be so good. Could you do that? Is that okay?
Yeah,
do you mind doing that? Dude. And I'm like, I don't mind at all. So I have, reached out and latched onto them to hopefully hold on to them. Who knows if one day he just doesn't go, man, I'm sick of all these invoices. I got to find somebody that'll just invoice me.
Yeah,
less.
You never know. It's going to make someone decide to use somebody else. So you might as well try to adapt.
Yeah, make
Put
their life
ourselves
easier.
in their position, Yes. I think about the project manager going on vacation. We're the last piece. She's been carrying this load and building this project from the ground up all the way to where it is now. And now the spit and polish is coming, and it's going to, it's going to come to fruition. And she's probably excited to see this project finish and wants it to finish well. And you give her that piece where, this baby I've carried for, it's ready now. It's ready. It's ready for the voiceover. It's ready to get that sparkle and to be done. And they're probably very excited about that. So at the same time, she didn't want to worry that it was in bad hands. She wanted to, she wanted to see this thing she's worked on for so long, wrap up exactly how she dreamed it would.
100%.
And now that she's going to be on vacation, the last thing she wants is to have to jump on calls, do fire control because now it's a dumpster fire and she's on vacation and now she has to worry about that. So this alleviates a lot of that, and now she can and see this is the way I'm thinking, and I'm like, and now she can enjoy her vacation.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I just want her to be
You're helping her put her mind at ease.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think with that service mindset and that accommodating mindset, not to the point where it's detrimental for our business, right? But that accommodating mindset for them, it just ends up naturally being good, because you just want to help. You want to make it easy for the team. And I really do think, I get into the feeling of I'm a part of that team for that little time.
Yep.
Right. It's kind of like Fight Club. It's kind of like the movie Fight Club.
Well, then you better not talk about it.
Yeah. Where they're talking about, where he's talking about single serving friends. Yeah. Do you remember that? Yeah. It's like, when you meet somebody on a plane, it's a single serving friend because we're a friend for this little amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I feel like I'm a part of that team for that time of that work.
Yeah.
Right. And
who knows, y'all may get back together again.
Exactly. And what's great is it starts as that. Right. But when you go in the mindset of, hey, I'm part of the team, I really want the best for you guys. I really want to deliver exactly what you want. Right. Then they feel that also. And then that could grow into, like Expedia Princess Cruises, they just ordered the 4th time from me.
That's amazing.
For their
So cool.
ad spread.
Yep.
So, and they come back every time. And because they know they can count on me, I can deliver what they need.
They know what they're going to get with you.
They know what they're going to get. It's like smooth sailing.
You set that precedent.
Yep.
And to kind of touch on what you mentioned it real quick a moment ago, you set a precedent, but you also didn't set a precedent that compromises your business policies for yourself. Because, again, I don't want people to think you're like, oh, well, then I need to be doing more for my clients. That's not necessarily what we're saying. I mean, think about what you can do more within reason if you feel like way. But that doesn't by any means, start agreeing to things where you're not getting compensated properly.
Exactly.
Or start agreeing to things that puts you out in a way that you really just didn't plan to. We're not talking about bending over backwards for clients. We're talking about communicating with them and making them feel confident in you, but in turn, you got to be confident in yourself. And you got to stick to it. You got to define your policies for you and stick to those policies, and don't compromise for anybody, really. Again, because again, it's a business. You've got to make this. I mean, if you want to make it work for you, you have to stick to your business policies without compromising.
Mm-hmm. And your policies become a part of your brand.
100%.
Your way of communicating, your set of questions and answers that when you present to a client the first time when they're getting to know you, that's a part of your brand.
100%.
Yep.
Whew. Well, guys, I mean, does anybody have anything else they want to add to this? I mean, I know this is kind of a quick episode, but that was kind of our original model was, we wouldn't talk for very long, but then as we go along and as we have guests, our episodes would extend to about an hour, sometimes a little over, but sometimes it's just too good a conversation to let it go.
That's
and then
true.
sometimes we go off on Waffle House tangents. So, Roy, what's new with Waffle House?
Well, we are still waiting on construction here in Portland, but we're still waiting on that.
If anybody's got the connection at Waffle House, yesterday, pick up their feet.
Yeah, and I really want some of those original old Waffle House mugs. I'm trying to find.
Can you buy them
online. I tried, and they said they couldn't sell me one. And they had a clock up on the wall, an old Waffle House clock, and it had stopped working. And the manager there was going to take it, and they said if he wasn't going to take it home, we'd let you have it. That would have been so cool.
That would have been cool. That would have been
cool. But I did get to go have lunch yesterday with Brad Grahowski. He was in the area. He and his wife had come down, and his wife had some relatives that were celebrated on Memorial Day over in Shiloh, Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee area. And they had served and had lost their lives in war, and they were the two chosen. No, but I think this goes way back. This was a great grandfather, so it goes back pretty far. Probably World War I, but I'm not positive. But they were, asked to come to that ceremony, and they thought it was going to be some little bitty thing, and there were like thousands of people there.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's amazing!
It was amazing. So they got to visit. They got to visit Graceland, and they were showing me some pictures and stuff. And we went to a Nashville hot chicken place. It wasn't Hattie B's, but it was pretty good. I think it was called Party Fowl. FOWL.
Party Fowl.
Because foul. Gotcha.
Yeah,
it was good. It was pretty
Didn't
good.
you say you had never tried Nashville hot chicken before?
I had not. I had some hot chicken or variations of some hot chicken, like if you go to Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that. It was totally different. But it was not like the Hattie B's, which is the renowned Nashville hot chicken, but it was pretty darn good. I liked it.
I like the flavor of Nashville hot, and at least the ones I've tried here in Texas. Maybe Texas gets that wrong, but Texas is pretty good about getting some stuff
pretty good
right.
up there,
Now, here's a food oddity he told me they had in Memphis.
Fighting words.
And Alden, you may know this one because of you guys have a lot of, barbecue's a big thing up there too, and Memphis is a big
Kansas
thing.
City barbecue.
But he said they had, and when he said it, I instantly went, ooh. But he said, oh man, it was fantastic. Barbecue spaghetti.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I can tell by
I'm
the
down
looks.
to try stuff, man. I'm always down to try
that doesn't
stuff.
sound nasty by
It
any
doesn't
means.
sound the word. It doesn't sound.
But he said they just, it was a side dish. They served it as a main, but they really encouraged people to try it as a side dish. And he said this was a hole in the wall barbecue place that they had found. And he said that's one of the things his wife loves to do is find a dive bar.
Yep.
Go to the dive bar and ask where's the best place to eat, and
100%.
you get sent to places that are off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And he said,
sometimes
but
those dive
barbecue
bars have
spaghetti.
the best food.
Yeah.
Barbecue spaghetti sounds like it'd be like spaghetti noodles, maybe some pulled pork and some barbecue sauce or
Some
something.
brisket
Or
in there or
imagine
something.
Brisket, yes.
Yeah, I'm imagining like burn ends with sauce on top of a pile
Kind of like a
of
meatball
spaghetti
kind of
noodles.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
burn
good.
ends with some. Yeah,
It's
be good.
probably good.
Yeah. So if
Anyway,
you're out there and you've
good to
had
see
barbecue
Brad.
spaghetti, please write into another VO podcast.
Yeah.
Let
us know.
Yeah, we want to know. And if you don't have, if you're not familiar with barbecue spaghetti, write into us at another VO podcast at Gmail, because we love your questions. We love anytime you guys send us questions, that gives us something new to talk about, unless we've already talked about it again. But guess what? We don't mind revisiting things either.
Yep.
That's something that we're looking walking into. So
Right.
don't hesitate to write out. There's no bad questions. There's no stupid questions unless it's just stupid. No, I'm just kidding. But no, write into us, man. We want to hear from you guys. I had a session
before this call. I had a session this morning, and
Chuck Booker.
it went super, super well.
Who here is surprised? Anybody?
Not
No one is raising their hands. Yeah. Always looking around.
Anyone.
Yeah, anyone.
Anyone.
Why don't you go ask Amy if she's surprised real quick. We'll wait.
Yeah.
Amy, you surprised? No, she's not.
It went super well. It was, and what I like is when clients get on the line and they've never been on a call before.
Yes.
And
yeah.
this was this lady that was on today, and she was so thankful. She's like,
sure.
Wow. She's like, thanks for letting me be a part of this. She's like, I never knew how any of this worked, and it's so cool to see Charles in his booth. Yep. And the direction and talking back and forth. And I made another suggestion today, because at the end of their the script, it was not necessarily a call to action, but the wording wasn't in there for it to kind of close the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read it, and they were like, well, it needs to, they're like, we don't want you to make it like, boom, call to action.
Yeah.
But maybe something, it just doesn't feel. And then, so they kind of started talking, and I was like, if you added the word today after the brand name, I was like, I think that might do it, because it's light enough to where it's like, hey, sign up for this thing today and take care of your X, Y, and Z. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, yeah, you know what? I don't know if we can change it from legal standpoints, or whether they probably have to run it through somebody else. And so I just made the suggestion. I was like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just give you an ABC of adding the word today in, so that way you have it. And if you guys can use it and you like how it sounds, you guys can use it. They're like, great. That's awesome.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they're like, perfect.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's that backup.
Yep.
Right? It's that safety that they feel like, okay.
And you get that, but you've had that from experience. Let me ask you this. If this was like one of the first jobs you booked, would you have thought about this? Would you? Is that something you, yeah, 100%. And it comes from your experience.
You'd be afraid to say anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'd probably be afraid to say something. But
Yeah.
the fact is you weren't afraid to say anything, and that you had the suggestion, like, hey, let me give you an ABC. And to them, they were like, holy crap. If that doesn't, I mean, like, everyone's situation's different. Maybe they won't have something that fits you next time. But who's to say that they won't have something later this year, next year, 2 years from now? You know who we could trust with this? That Charles guy. That Charles.
Chuck Booker.
What is it? Yeah, Chuck Booker. Yeah. Yeah. If you ever want to rebrand, there you go, Doug.
Like his 80s cop show name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have like a big mustache.
Hey,
Yeah.
I got one last thing, and,
Okay.
and this is totally nothing compared to what we're talking about. I'm always looking for stuff to watch.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I started watching Slow
Market
Horses.
research.
Have you guys
Slow
seen
Horses?
Slow Horses?
Can
it
you
has
bet on
nothing to do with horses.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
It's Gary Oldman,
Oh, I love Gary Oldman.
Okay.
and he plays this curmudgeon
Gary Oldman.
jerk.
Isn't that the kid off of Different Strokes?
No.
That's
Gary
Gary
Coleman.
Coleman. And
Okay,
he's
okay.
dead.
Coleman.
Okay. I was
Talk
like,
about
What you talking
Sirius
about,
Black.
Charles?
yeah.
But Sirius Black.
All
is a
I'll
Harry
say
Potter
is
fan.
if you're a Gary Oldman fan,
Talking
which
about
I
the
am,
horses.
he's fantastic. But
100%.
go to Apple TV and watch Slow Horses. It has to do with MI5, MI6, that kind of stuff.
Oh,
and
okay,
it's
cool.
and it's this group of people. It's this little group of misfits who are failing, and they put them under to work for him, and he plays the best freaking character you'll ever watch, and he's so good anyway.
He's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
Gary Oldman is really
But
good.
man, the way he talks to them and puts them down all the time for being failures and all, it will crack you up. But then when the show starts evolving, these group of misfits start breaking cases and saving the day. And
Nice.
it's pretty darn neat.
I
And
love
I
an
think
underdog story.
So it's
There's
like the
three-
Bad
three
News Bears
seasons.
of the spy
three
world.
seasons?
Yeah. There's 3 seasons, and 4 and 5 are
The
already
Mighty Ducks of
renewed,
the
and it's only 6
MI6.
episodes per season, but they're
That's not
longer
bad.
episodes.
Sure.
But it's a really good watch. I think as voice actors, we'll appreciate it because of his character and the way he plays that person. It's
Nice.
really good.
That's cool.
Is it a Brit show?
Yes.
Okay.
That makes
cool.
sense.
Yes.
He is Brit.
Is that like on Acorn or
It's on Apple TV.
BritBox or it's on Apple? Okay.
You're such a screw up. I don't even know how you got here.
Well, guys, thank you so much for that update, Troy, on some television. Check that out. I think I might do that. And then everybody else, Charles, Alden, thanks for hanging out and talking about this new topic with us.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Again, don't forget to email us at anothervopodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Another VO Podcast on Instagram. So for me, Troy, Alden, and Chuck Booker, we'll see you next time.
Adios, amigos.
Later, dudes.
Hi, I'm Mandy Fisher, and you're listening to Another VO Podcast.